Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be mood reading for 24 hours. I'm not going to be reading for 24 hours straight because I just unfortunately don't have the time to do that since I do have other responsibilities. But I'm just going to kind of see how long it'll realistically take for me to read the full 24 hours by starting and stopping the timer. I don't have any specific TBR for this video, but I will try to choose some of the ones that are on my September TBR. And yeah, so basically let's just get straight into it. So the first book that I plan on reading for this video is The Inheritance Games. And yeah, so I feel like this is already like pretty well known already. I feel like most people in the book community probably already know a description of this, but if you haven't, you can watch my September TBR video where I kind of go over that. But yeah, so let's just start this one and see how long this all takes. Okay guys, I'm really tired, so I am calling it a day, but I am actually like an hour, 20 minutes in, and basically I'm on chapter 20, which is like 80 pages in, and I am so tired, my brain's not working, so I will just go over it in the morning. So I will see you guys then. Hey guys, so it is the next morning, which is Friday, and so we are at 2.5 hours, so that means I read for like about an hour or so this morning, and I'm on chapter 35, which is page 146, and yeah, so basically the first thing that like came to my mind while I was reading this book was that it really feels like you're doing or just like playing an escape room, if you've ever done that, where you like get locked in a room and you have to figure out a bunch of clues to be like allowed out. So basically, like, because of how many like riddles and games and just like the like mystery behind not only like why she inherits the money but also like the actual Hawthorne house that she has to live in, there's a bunch of like secret passageways and stuff like that. It really just feels like trying to play an escape room where every single little detail you have to like overanalyze and really pay attention to. But yeah, so I am really liking it. It definitely does get straight into it, which is something that I've heard already about this book. The chapters are short, so it really does feel like you're flying through it, and I do like the main character. I like the Hawthorne brothers. I think they're definitely adding something to the story. Each of them kind of has like their own very distinct personalities. I do feel like I personally am leaning towards Grayson. There is a little bit of a love triangle between the main girl character Avery and then Jameson and Grayson. Grayson's a little bit more like serious. Jameson's a little bit more not like jokey, but he's a little bit more maybe into the games more than Grayson is, at least so far. I mean, we're only 150 so pages in, but yeah, so far really liking it. I think today I'm gonna actually head to a cafe, get some schoolwork done. Maybe I'll go to the beach today, or at least sometime during this video, so we get a little bit of variety, so you guys don't just see me in my room all day. But yeah, so far, again, like I said, really liking it, and yeah. All right, hey guys, I hope you can hear me. We are at the beach right now. Right now I'm at 3 hours and 20 minutes, so a little bit over 20 to go. I'm on chapter 38, and again, still really liking this. It's hard to say like where this is going just because there's so much going on. There's a story of this girl that used to live in this house and she died somehow, and they keep bringing it up, and she somehow, I don't know exactly if she had a thing with Grayson, Jameson, or both in the same way that the new girl Avery is, and it's kind of giving Damon and Stefan vibes from the Vampire Diaries, if you guys have seen it. All right, but yeah, so let's just keep reading. Almost halfway. Okay, hey guys, so right now I'm at the beach, obviously, and we're almost at 3.5 hours. Currently, I'm in the middle of, oh my gosh, my hair, sorry. Currently, we're in the middle of chapter 47 in the Inheritance Games. I'm still really liking it. There's a lot going on with the brothers, and I don't know, it's kind of interesting because there was this original girl that died in this house, and she kind of had history with both Grayson and Jameson, it's seeming, just like the new girl Avery is. So I don't know, it's a little bit confusing and kind of weird that they have like that history again. I don't know, almost giving like Catherine with Damon and Stefan from the Vampire Diaries, if you've seen that. But yeah, so just gonna keep reading. Like I said, still liking it. It's definitely very still fast-paced. Nothing is slowing down, but yeah, so let's just keep reading. Hey guys, so obviously I made it back home from the beach. It's a little bit later in the day. I've made it to 3 hours and like 47 minutes at chapter 54, page 222. I feel like this book is kind of really hard to describe though because there is so much going on, but I will say at this point the romance subplot is definitely picking up a lot more. So far we're leaning towards one brother for sure, but I don't know if that like is the end, you know, result, or if she's gonna flip-flop back and forth because we still do have like another 200-ish pages left to go. I don't know. So that'll be interesting to see. Definitely a lot has happened. So basically we just keep looking for more clues to, you know, why she's inheriting this money. The family, not just the immediate family, but like there's cousins and like nieces and, you know, all of that. They're also, you know, kind of getting in and doing stuff that's kind of suspicious. We're not so sure of what their motives are yet. So yeah, it's definitely still capturing my attention. I haven't really been bored with anything so far. I will say, like, her best friend, I know it is YA, so you have to take that, you know, into consideration, but some of the like faking out of the cuss words is a little bit cringy. It's kind of one of those things where you just have to like look over and ignore, otherwise, you know, it can ruin the, not ruin, but otherwise it can hurt the experience a little bit. But yeah, so I'm just like trying to ignore that. Otherwise, really liking it, lots going on. Alright, hey guys, so I actually have a friend's wedding to go to tonight, and it's about a 2-hour drive, and I actually found the Inheritance Games audiobook on YouTube, so I'm just planning on reading or listening to that while I drive since it's gonna be a while. And yeah, so should carve another good chunk out of that book. Okay, hey guys, so I don't have time to do like a full update or anything, but I did want to just come back and say that I am about 5.5 hours in, and I only have an hour left on the audiobook, so it should probably be done by the time I get home, and then I will definitely do my final update once I get home. Okay, hey guys, so yesterday I actually did not do any updates or read at all. It just ended up being one of those days, had a little minty bee, you know. Push that to the side, get back to reading. Anyways, so I made it to 5 hours and 55 minutes, and that's when I actually finished the Inheritance Games. I actually really liked how that ended. I wasn't sure if I was going to because I thought I kind of had an idea of what the ending like was going to be about, but luckily I was completely wrong. She did a really good job with that, and I also really like how she wrapped up the romance because, okay, I'm not wrapped up because obviously there's still 2 more books, but I feel like she ended it in a way that there's definitely more room for a lot to go on, and it wasn't at all what I expected. And I feel like a lot of people have said a lot of the same things about this book, so I don't want to be too repetitive, but again, very fast paced, super easy to get into, really short chapters, really fun YA mystery. And yeah, I feel like that's all you really need to know. Don't like know too much about it going into it because that kind of defeats a little bit of the point, but yeah, definitely recommend. I think I'm gonna give it a solid 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I had a really great time, but I think for me, I tend to need either like a romance or just a sadder, more emotional subplot for me to really feel like invested in a book and kind of get it above the 4-star mark, but I did still really like it. Okay, so next book that I'm gonna start reading, which I'm really excited for because a bunch of you guys have been commenting that this is one of your like favorite sci-fi books, or you think about it all the time or something like that, and so we're gonna start Red Rising. This will be my very first sci-fi book that I think I've ever read, and I'm really looking forward to it. And so I can't actually tell you guys that much about it either because it's one of those books where you're supposed to go into it like really blind. I know it's not dystopian, but like I know the main character is a part of like the minority group kind of rebelling against the greater group, something like that, and there is a romance subplot I believe, but I'm not so sure like what the trope is for that, like if it's enemies to lovers or anything like that. But yeah, so really looking forward to seeing how I like this one. Hey guys, so right now I'm 6 hours and 20 minutes in, so maybe like 15 more minutes than when I updated last time, which I have just not really been reading that much, that's 100% my fault. So this book, I figured I would do an update now. I'm on chapter 3, like 20 pages in, and I've heard that this book gets really spoilery like really quickly, so I figured might as well just like cover, you know, what it's about now. So basically the main character is this guy named Darrow, and he and like this whole civilization are underground in Mars. So basically like they're drilling into the earth. They like live in tunnels, and they're basically mining this like specific type of helium, like this helium isotope, and basically this specific thing is going to allow for life on Earth. So there's also like, it's kind of divided into different, I don't know if it would be like factions or just like classes. So there's like gold, which are the rulers. The main character Darrow is a red, so kind of just like the hard worker kind of things and stuff like that. Okay, so also I didn't say, but he is like 16, 17. I'm not super clear on that, but honestly, surprisingly young. I kind of thought they would be almost like late 20s, 30s or something like that. But he is married actually already to this girl named Io, and they're kind of like childhood friends. I mean, there's not that many people in this civilization, so you kind of like grow up with everybody that you're, you know, around. But so like we already started off with him like in a kind of like really risky situation with just like the job that he has to do to mine this helium, and also you're kind of just like learning more about this world and kind of just like the powers that are in charge. I mean, it is sci-fi, but I would still kind of characterize it as dystopian because it's like still set in our universe, if that makes sense. But yeah, so far, I mean, I haven't found it like too difficult to get into. So far, things are still relatively easy to understand, and I'm really enjoying it so far. Okay, hey guys, so I'm right now like we're just under 7 hours, and I'm on page 50, which is right at the start of part 2 of this book, and oh my gosh. Part 1 ended with a bang, all I can say. Yeah, definitely spoilers towards the end, so obviously can't go too into that, but oh my gosh. So like I said, this society is like sectioned into different like classes, and each class is kind of given like a color. So even though this is like sci-fi, obviously like a lot of the experience that these people are going through, just kind of like slavery, just basically just being a part of like this really like discriminatory system, like all of that is very relevant to the world that we still live in now today. And I don't know, I found it really just like fascinating to see the character's mindset as he's going through these things, and just kind of like his internal motivation and things like that. I find it pretty easy to picture like what's happening without it being overly descriptive or anything like that. I'm really liking Pierce Brown's writing. We're still very much in the beginning of the story, so there's definitely like a lot of room for this plot to, you know, go crazy, but I'm definitely really interested in seeing where this goes. Okay, hey guys, so I am at 9 hours and 36 minutes, and I'm a little bit over 200 pages on chapter 28 of Red Rising, and I am loving this so much more than I expected to. I really like the way the plot is going, and I'm not gonna get into like too many details because, like I said, you're really supposed to know very little going into this, and a lot of the details are spoilery, but I love the like war games that we're playing, and like the mind games, and kind of just like the psychology behind like their actions and thought patterns, and it's super action-packed. I mean, my heart will be racing during some of the tense scenes, and I'm having such a hard time stopping reading, which is obviously a really good thing, but I want to finish this so badly that I'm putting off like all of my responsibilities, which is not good. And this is a book too, like it is sci-fi, but so far I don't feel like there's that many science aspects in it that would make it super hard to understand or anything like that. It really just feels like a regular fantasy book almost. So if you do generally like fantasy and you're kind of scared of sci-fi, I would still definitely say give this a shot. But yeah, like I don't want to get too into it, but I am loving this so much. It might even be a 5-star read. I don't want to like put too much pressure on it, and you know, in case the ending isn't up to par, but I mean, I feel like it has to be because everybody loves this book. I'm already loving this book, and because of how like spoilery the ending is probably going to be too, I think I'm just going to come back for my final update with this one once I finish it. Okay, hey guys, so I finished Red Rising actually last night, literally right before I went to bed, so I didn't actually film anything just because I was literally so exhausted. I actually took the MCAT in the morning, which is a 7-hour long test. So if you can imagine, my brain, it was literally done by 9:30. So I finished it like right after the 12 hours and 30-minute mark. Like this book, absolutely amazing. I didn't actually realize there was kind of a little synopsis on the inside actually, and I feel like this kind of describes it way better than I ever could. So I'm just gonna read it from here. So Darrow is a red, a member of the lowest caste in his color-coded society of the future. Like his fellow Reds, he spends his days working below ground, believing that blood and sweat of his people are making the surface of Mars livable for future generations. But Darrow and his kind have been betrayed. Discovering that humanity colonized the surface generations ago, establishing vast cities and lush wilds, Darrow realizes that he and his fellow Reds are nothing more than slaves to a decadent ruling class. Driven by a longing for justice and the memory of lost love, Darrow sacrifices everything to infiltrate the legendary Institute, a proving ground for the dominant gold caste where the next generation of humanity's overlords struggle for power. There, he will be forced forced to compete for his life and the very future of civilization against the best and most brutal of society's elite. But he will stop at nothing to bring down his enemies, even if he must become one to do so. I love this book so much more than I expected to. I think I said earlier, like, I've never read sci-fi before. I really didn't know what to like expect really with this one because I hadn't heard too much. I think most people kind of consider a lot of the book to be spoilers, but I would absolutely recommend. I loved it so much that I am immediately starting Golden Sun, which is the next one. I literally only read like 5 pages, which I did add to the timer, but yeah, so I will come back with a little bit more about this one once I've gotten into it. Okay, hey guys, so clearly I'm in a different room. I'm actually at some family's house in Vegas, so I have a little bit more of an update. I did read a little bit more into this book. Alright, so we're at 14 hours and 5 minutes, and I'm on page 95, and wow, this book is still just as good as Red Rising. We do pick up a little bit after the ending of the first one, but we're definitely still continuing like that same like story. And I will say, if you don't think the description of these books sounds interesting, I would still definitely recommend giving it a chance, because I feel like the way that I would describe this wouldn't be normally something that I would find myself being really that into, with all of like the politics and a lot of focus on kind of like war and just like leadership, I guess, which normally I would be like, that's not for me, but I actually am loving it so much more than I would have ever really expected to or thought I would. So definitely, please give this series a try. You will hopefully not be disappointed. But and yeah, honestly, like I said, so I don't want to like give too much, so I'm not going to be able to update that much with this book, but if there's anything else that I have to say about it, I obviously will. It's just kind of hard when this series feels like it's really spoiler heavy, especially like with even the first one being like super spoiler heavy like early on. But yeah, loving this. So one thing that I forgot to say is, as someone who loves like Greek mythology, I grew up, you know, reading Percy Jackson. I love how they add names from Greek mythology in here. You know, you don't actually have to really know what any of them like mean. You don't have to know any of the stories. You know, it's all very just like surface level. Just the names of things have like the Greek names, and I am very here for that. Okay, so I'm almost 15 and a half hours in chapter 20, page 180, and I just wanted to say that I feel like this book would be great for people that really liked the Cruel Prince trilogy, just because like the political intrigue and just kind of like the action is kind of like reminiscent of that series, but honestly so much better. Okay, so right now I'm at 17 hours and about 280 pages in. And I will say this book is definitely a lot more sci-fi heavy than the first one, Red Rising. Like Red Rising definitely felt like very little sci-fi and very reminiscent of a lot of like fantasies with like a political heavy plot line, but this one we definitely are like in space a lot more. But I feel like the first book kind of helped ease me into it as like a non-sci-fi reader, so it's not like throwing me off or anything. And honestly, like I really enjoy like the different sci-fi elements, because like I said, so I haven't really read that many sci-fi books before, but literally like the entire time I'm just picturing almost like a Star Trek, Star Wars kind of vibe, and I am loving it. These characters just seem so real and so deeply fleshed out, and I will say like especially the main guy character, he kind of reminds me a lot of Selena Sardathian, the main female character in Game of Thrones. So if you love Game of Thrones, I do think you would like this book a lot. Obviously the romance in this is like very minuscule, although I do think it might pick up a little bit more as the books go on. I'm not totally sure, but yeah, I'm absolutely loving this. Okay, another thing that I haven't heard anybody say about this series, but the found family. Like, I'm about to cry, guys. We're in a like crazy battle scene right now, and I'm like legit about to start crying because it's going down. Like, obviously love the found family, but I will say nobody is safe in this book or this series. Okay, hey guys, so I just finished Golden Sun. Wow, that ending was brutal. Okay, so I'm not gonna go read the next book in this like right now, but I definitely need to read this ASAP. This left on such a huge cliffhanger that I don't think I'll be okay until I finish the third book in this. Wow, okay, 5 stars. This series has been so much more than I ever really expected to. Like, the social commentary is not anything that I would have thought that I'd like, but it's honestly just crazy how well Pierce Brown was able to like add these certain elements into there without making it feel like overly political. It still feels very action-packed. Oh my gosh. Oh, and then by the way, we're at 19 hours and 40 minutes, so just over 4 more hours to go. Don't know if it'll be a full amount of like, I don't know if it'll be enough time to read a full book, but we'll see. Try to get as much into one as I can. And yeah, wow, my mind is blown a little bit, I'm not even gonna lie. Okay, so like I said, we're at 19 hours and 40 minutes, and I think I'm gonna start Call Me By Your Name. I really don't know that much about this book. I know it's a romance. It's set in the Italian Riviera, and these two guys are, like, one of them is a guest at the other's parents' summer house or something like that. And I don't know. I really, like I said, I don't know that much about this, so you and I are gonna find that out together. Okay, and then also, you guys, let me know if you prefer to have like clips of me reading, even if it's like sped up or whatever, because I'm not really sure if you guys prefer that or not. If it's easier to just like have me piece together the clips of me talking and you don't want to watch like the other things, I mean, let me know down below because I have no idea. Okay, hey guys, so I'm at 20 hours and 40 minutes and I'm about 50 pages into Call Me By Your Name, and right now I don't feel like super connected to the characters or anything. I do really like the setting. It takes place in Italy, like I said, and it's very atmospheric. I mean, just the way things are described, it really does feel like you're like spending time in an Italian summer, which I really like that part. But I don't know, like so far from our main character, he's just kind of has like basically just has a crush on this other guy, and you're kind of just going through his like some of their interactions and kind of just like how he feels about certain things. And I don't know, so like I feel like it is like pretty decently relatable the way that he describes like having a crush on this guy and just kind of like the infatuation and how like you can be really in tune to everything that this person's doing just because you're so interested in them. But other than that, like we haven't really been doing that much. Obviously this is, I believe, just a general fiction book or a lit fic. I'm not totally sure, but it's not technically categorized as a romance, so I don't know, like I'm hoping it picks up a little bit. And yeah, I mean that's really all I have to say about it because I don't think that much has happened, or like we haven't really progressed any plot or like character development or anything like that yet. Alright guys, so I have finally finished Call Me By Your Name. It actually worked out pretty perfectly with the timing. I'm actually at 23 hours and 45 minutes, and we're just gonna call it then because I am over this and no point in starting a book and reading it for only 15 minutes. But I don't know, I feel like my thoughts on this book are really conflicted. I really like the atmospheric setting. It takes place in Italy and I could really feel like the nostalgia and just like the atmosphere of being in like the Italian Riviera, like beachside, drinking a little glass of lemonade, that kind of thing. I think it describes all of that really well. And I do think the writing is really beautiful. There's a ton of really good quotes you can get out of this book, but I think for me, just the issue was that I did not really feel connected to the characters at all. The entire book is in Elio, the main guy character's perspective, and I just don't think he and I like have very similar thought processes at all, and it made me kind of dislike him a little bit. Some of the things he thinks and does are just really weird and creepy, and although I do understand some of it, it's a little bit hard to look past some of the things, and I'm not gonna go into them, but yeah. And yeah, I don't know, I feel like there's not really like that much for me to say about it because I don't want to like rip into it, because the things that I liked about it I feel like were very personal. Like you either connect with the characters or you don't, and I personally didn't. But I do think the story is still really pretty. The writing is really nice, like I said. We're gonna give this one a 3.5. Not at all my favorite, but definitely not at all a bad book. I think if you can find yourself relating to the characters, you'll like it a lot more, obviously, but I just didn't find that it was for me. But I am very much ready to be done with this challenge. You guys won't know, you know, until me now saying it, but this has taken me like almost 2 weeks to do because I took actually the MCAT in the middle of this, so that's a 7-hour test, and my brain was completely fried after it, so I didn't read that day. And then like obviously a couple days before that I was just studying a lot, and then also I had a friend's wedding, so you know, excuse me for taking this long, but that's how it goes. And yeah, I am more than ready for this video to be over. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys liked it and enjoyed watching me struggle through this. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me. If you like this video, please comment, like, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff, and I will see you guys all in the next one.